Hey, this is Suzanne, and we want to thank Thrive Academics Assessments for sponsoring Not by the Book. Unlock your students' potential with Thrive Academics Assessments. For just $25, gain unlimited access to their comprehensive online assessments for Math K-12 and Reading K-11 throughout the entire school year. Thrive Assessments are developed by Scantron Corporation and have administered over 170 million tests. They're norm referenced. You can compare your child's performance to national standards, Florida State approved assessments, computer adaptive, so you can pinpoint your student's exact skill level, online and flexible. There are no time limits, no proctor needed, and you can take tests anytime 24/7. Affordable and comprehensive. One low price of $25 for both subjects. Easy to read reports that help identify your child's strengths and weaknesses. Step Up for Students scholarships mandate an annual assessment. Thrive Academics is the best and most affordable solution. You can purchase directly from Thrive or the My Scholar Shop. Ready to see the difference? Visit the My Scholar Shop today and purchase your Thrive assessments. For more details, visit www.assessk12.com.
But I remember when I was tutoring this student, I felt like I was in my joy. You know what I mean? I felt like this is what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
But then I got in the car and I had to drive another hour to get to the next student. And I was like, I will not be able to feed my children if I keep doing this. So I had this thought. My best friend had said to me, she's like, you should start a YouTube channel. And I was like, I don't want a YouTube channel. I'm a private person.
Yeah.
You know, and she was like, no, your life is so crazy, with the business and your son. And I have a daughter who's also got a medical condition. Like, she's like, you should just get a YouTube channel. And then I had this thought, like, what if I start a YouTube channel where I just teach math?
From the Florida Parent Educators Association, home of the largest homeschool convention in America, this is the Not by the Book podcast. I'm your host, FPEA Chairman Suzanne Nunn, and together we will hear from guests who share their journey to who and where they are today. Each one of them at some point left the expected path, ripped the page out of the book that says you have to do it like this, and made their own way. I hope these conversations inspire you as much as they do me. Today I have a wonderful conversation with Nicole Thomas, maybe better known to you as Nicole the Math Lady. We talk about what it looks like to recognize your passion and have the courage to step out in faith to do the hard things, even when you aren't sure what the end result will look like. Let's listen.
Well, first of all, thanks, Suzanne, for having me. I'm, one of the things my parents always said is that Nicole can definitely run her mouth for a living. So any opportunity to sit there and, talk about my childhood, I love stuff like that because, some people didn't have a great childhood, but I cannot say that. I had a wonderful childhood. Like, I have two of the best parents, I think, on the planet, Jean and Vincent,
That's amazing.
who were just at my house a couple days ago. And I grew up in Brooklyn, New York.
Wow.
I'm in Florida now.
Florida,
yeah. And we'll talk about me and cold at some point during this podcast. My family is from the Caribbean, right? They're from Trinidad and Tobago and came here right before I was born, between my sister and I. And I just had like a great, happy childhood, and I think I was such a truly blessed, I'm close to my sister, I'm close to my brother. Like, we are just a tight family,
That's important.
And yeah, I definitely think that had a lot, the reason I do live in Florida, let me jump stories already, is that's where my parents moved. They retired in Florida, and I was clear when my husband and I were like thinking about having kids, I wanted my kids to grow up around my parents. I wanted them to have that experience because they are truly, how some grandparents are like, okay, just bring the kids over and we'll spend a couple hours and then you go home.
Yeah.
That's not how things work in my house.
They're all in.
My mom literally calls my son every day and they practice piano lessons via Zoom.
That's amazing. See? That's great.
Yeah, I am very, very clear. Like, I'm definitely molded by Jean and Vincent Albert, So how, like, math, so I grew up, I was one of those kids who was always good at school. I think I'm good at rules. and like I have to admit, for good or for bad, school is a lot about
Yes.
rules, following rules,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I followed a lot of rules, and the good news is when you follow rules at school, and you can pretty much you can do well at
Mm,
school. So I was a good student, and I remember when I first had this like aha about math. And it didn't actually happen till middle school. And I just remember, sadly, I don't even remember who my teacher was, but I do remember sitting in class going, well, this just makes sense. Like, like it just, you follow the process. If they give you a good process, you follow the process. It'll give you the right answer every time. What? Like, that's amazing.
I love that you say that you had your aha moment in middle school. I think
Mhm.
first of all, middle school years are huge. They're extremely important in your formative years. But my aha was in middle school too, my math moment. And I remember the
Yeah.
teacher's name. It was Miss Kasprack. And she is up there talking and loving math. She was in love with math. And I
Mm.
just said, I looked at her and I was like, what is wrong with her? And what language is she actually speaking? Like, it was just like, that was my aha moment. Like, this does not make sense to me. Like,
This one's not for me.
this is not my language. But, it's funny because I think, middle school is so formative.
Mm.
And it's one of those areas that, I think sometimes kids have done really well in elementary school. And all of a sudden they'll start hitting some places in middle school. So, but that's interesting that you said that because I would say the same exact thing, different thoughts, but
Different
middle
outcome.
school was it. So you
Yeah.
fell in love with it in middle school. It made sense, and you were like, "Woo!"
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a funny story. So we moved from New York to New Jersey right at the end of elementary school. So I started middle school. And I remember in the summer, my mom brought like our some, when we were kids, you played
Right?
outside, right? Like you didn't spend the
Absolutely,
day inside. They would kick you outside at like, 8 o'clock in the morning and you come home at 9 o'clock at night.
exactly.
And my mom, she bought remember back then it wasn't a whiteboard, it was a
Yes.
blackboard. Remember
Oh,
blackboard and
oh
chalk?
yes.
That was the toy that she bought. It was blackboard and chalk, and, like, what I did for fun was I would hold math class for my friends.
Oh, they probably loved you.
We would sit, and I'd be, like, at the board, like, "Okay, we're gonna have school, and our school's gonna be fun." I'm sure if I called those friends now, they'd be like, "Girl, what were you doing?"
Exactly. That's great though. That's great. So
Yeah.
you did have a teacher somewhere in your future. That was it.
Yeah, I did. It's funny because I didn't actually like, when I went to college, I didn't major in
Mhm.
education. I actually it's funny because I had a was a teacher in high school, and he actually wrote my recommendation for college. And when he asked me, like, "What do you think you wanna go into?" I said, "Maybe education."
Oh.
And he was trying to protect me, and he goes, "Don't go into education." So I didn't.
Yeah,
Like, when I got to school, I'm not joking, I was an engineering
that's
major.
great.
What?
That's great. Some good
People who know
experiences.
me, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. But what did I do? Like, it's really funny when you think about the things that made you.
Mhm.
Like, I for my volunteer work was I tutored at a local school,
Okay.
right? When I went to work my first corporate job, they had a corporate, like, giving program where you could volunteer.
Mhm.
I volunteered in the classroom.
That's
You know, every job I had before I decided to, like, teach for a living, I always ended up in the teaching
that's
role
so
somehow,
funny.
you
Training,
know?
yeah, doing all the things. Isn't that
Yep.
funny though? I always said I don't enjoy teaching in the classroom, but I always enjoy the idea of teaching, and training people. And there was a time before I did teach in the classroom for like 13 years, but I also did real estate, and I would tell people it's like being a teacher because you're educating people on something that's a really important life decision, and it's a lot of fun. Like, this is fun.
Yeah,
Now, not math,
yeah.
but yeah, this is
And
fun.
you know what's funny? I like it's funny 'cause I told you I worked in tutoring. I actually like the one-on-one.
Mhm.
I didn't figure that out till later, but, like, being like, God bless the teachers because me being in a class with 30 kids, I was not meant for
Nope.
that. I was not meant for
Yes.
that. I was meant to, like, stand and talk to kids, like, I like tutoring, I like doing, like, one-on-one
Right.
work, but, like, me and 30 kids, I would have burnt out right away if I actually had gone into education. So
That was good advice then. Yeah, that's how I ended up there. I ended up there accidentally, not intentionally. So, but that's all good. So you went to college, and what was your major? So you did I read psychology and
yeah.
economics? Is that accurate?
That is.
Okay.
So I left the East Coast,
Mhm.
right? I don't know what I was thinking at the time. And I went to Stanford, which is on the West Coast. Like I full blown like left home. And some people think, well, you just wanted to get away from your parents. No, not really. I just didn't realize when I chose that school that I was leaving
Oh,
home.
yes.
I'm academically smart, not so street smart. But I had about 2 semesters of physics and calculus and sciencey things. And I said, I need to have that phone call where I call my parents and I go, I don't think I'm going to be an engineer. And they were like, that's fine. What do you think you want to do? And I was like, oh, I think I would be a psychologist. And they were like, what?
That's too funny. Too funny.
So they didn't have a business major
Mm,
for undergraduate. So like economics and psychology, I thought was like my way of like creating my own business
okay.
major,
That makes sense.
so
Yeah.
that's how I
Yeah.
ended up
So
there.
then you went there. So now, did you graduate then from Stanford, and
I
then you
did.
moved to back to New York, or did you move to Florida? Were they
Actually,
already in
I
Florida?
no, I lived in San Francisco for a good while until about 2000, like, met my
Okay.
husband out in California, I was there for the big earthquake, I always
Oh,
remember that.
that's good. It's like the big
Yeah,
hurricane in Florida. Woo. Yeah.
yeah, I don't need to do that again, I'm good. And, yeah, lived in San Francisco for a while, like, lived there kind of in the, like, dot-com booming
Mm,
era, and somehow I still escaped all of that because that's when I was beginning to trying to figure out who am I,
yeah.
like so your 20s or four, who am
That's
I?
right.
What do I love? What am I talented at?
Yeah.
And I think by the end of my 20s, I had figured that out. And that's when I came up with I'm supposed to be a teacher of some kind.
Mm,
I don't really know what kind. Like I don't think I'm gonna because when you say teacher, you think it means standing up in front of 30
yeah.
kids.
Definitely.
But I didn't realize there were all these other ways you could
Mm,
teach, and that's what I ended up doing.
that's
Yeah.
great. That's great. So when did you move to Florida?
I moved to Florida in 2000.
Okay.
And again, that's when we were like, we want to have kids, we want to be close to my parents. So we like, started fresh,
Yeah.
started over. And there I got a corporate, I was still working corporate,
Mm-hmm.
and I worked for Scholastic Book
Oh,
Fairs, which I really
fun.
enjoyed doing. And, so I got a chance to be close to schools, close to kids, but again, not in them.
Yeah, those were my favorite things in the world, Scholastic Book Fairs. We lived in the Keys, in the Florida Keys when I was young.
Yeah.
Not a lot of bookstores. You got the library, but when the Scholastic Book Fair came, I was like in heaven. That was amazing.
Yeah.
So
It's like it was happy work. Like nobody was ever like unhappy about the book
exactly,
fair.
exactly. And they sold puffy, smelly stickers in my day. So it was even better.
Yeah, we'd be like, "How do we get these kids to buy books?" "Oh, they're buying
That's right.
stickers."
Exactly. So,
Yeah, so I did and I was a corporate trainer there.
okay.
That's when I started really, like, diving into, I think I'm supposed to
Mm,
teach, and did that kind of work for a while until I decided, I think I wanna teach kids,
okay.
like, that's where my love is teaching kids.
So when did you become a homeschool mom? How did you,
Mm,
because you were not a homeschool student, obviously you weren't
right?
homeschooled. How did that work out for you?
So, I actually became a homeschool mom after I became Nicole the Math Lady and got connected to the homeschool
Okay.
community.
Very cool.
Right? So and what's weird is so my son, Justin, I've told this, like, on many different podcasts. My son was diagnosed with autism at age
Mm,
3, and that's when I was still a trainer, and I was traveling and gone, and I just realized, like, being gone all the time was just not good for him. It was not it didn't give him that sense of routine that, I think many kids on the spectrum desire and crave.
right.
So I remember I stopped cold turkey. I'm a cold turkey kinda gal. Like, every job I've ever left, I've been like, "Okay, goodbye."
See ya.
And I just said, "Okay." Had lots of conversations with God about, "Okay,
Yeah.
what am I supposed to do? Like, I'm here. Like, what's the difference I'm supposed to
Mm,
make?" And that's when it was like, you're supposed to teach kids. No, okay. So I actually even thought, should I go into the school district? And my daughter told me, she was in middle school at the
Yeah.
time, and she goes, Mom, no. She's like, kids are so mean right now. So we can do the story of how I started Nicole the Math Lady, but it was 3 years in. It was during COVID.
Yeah.
And I got a chance to see him interact. I got a peek into his classroom, and I saw he was not really valued in his classroom for who he was.
Yeah.
And it was a challenging time because it was when Nicole the Math Lady was, we have an online business. It was COVID. It was taking off.
Right.
But I said, okay, a lot of these folks I talk to every day are homeschooling. Pull them out. And we pulled him out like right at the start of that school year where COVID was, in full swing.
Right.
And I fumbled. I'm not going to lie. There was a lot of fumbling around, a lot of figuring out.
I think that's part of becoming a homeschool mom.
Yeah. That's what we tell folks come to us now. That first year, just take a break, give yourself a break, figure it out.
Yes.
But that's when I did it. It was really because of my customers that I talked to every day. Because in the beginning, it was Nicole and her cell phone. There was no customer service team.
Right. Oh, yes, definitely.
They would call. I'd be like in the car, talking to moms in the car like this. And I would just talk to moms about their experience. And I said, I don't know how we're going to do this, but I think it's the right thing for him. So that's how I became a homeschool
That's
mom.
how you became a homeschool mom. So Nicole the Math Lady existed first. How did you decide that was your route? How did you decide that was the way you were going to connect with kids?
So remember when I told you I had that moment after Justin was diagnosed where I was like, okay, got to get off the road. And I literally sat at home for a few months, truly having conversations with God. Like, listen, I am clear. I'm here to serve. I want to take the talents you've given me. I want to do something good. I don't need a lot of money. I just need to be able to feed my kids and send them to college. Like that's the conversation we were having. So I just started tutoring because remember, that was the thing that was like this cycling throughout my life. I started tutoring kids. And I remember you're from Florida, so I live like on the east side of Orlando, but I was driving to Kissimmee, like Disney World land. And it's like an hour away because there's like no direct route to get there. And I remember I was tutoring it and I was doing it for like $25 a session. I don't know how I was feeding myself. Thank goodness for my husband at that point in time. And I remember when I was tutoring this student, I felt like I was in my joy. You know what I mean? I felt like this is what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
But then I got in the car and I had to drive another hour to get to the next student. And I was like, I will not be able to feed my children if I keep doing this. So I had this thought. My best friend had said to me, she's like, you should start a YouTube channel. And I was like, I don't want a YouTube channel. I'm a private person.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, your life is so crazy, with the business and your son. And I have a daughter who's also got a medical condition. Like, she's like, you should just get a YouTube channel. And then I had this thought, like, what if I start a YouTube channel where I just teach math?
Yeah.
Like, what if I just make some videos? And so literally it was on a Thursday. And by Saturday, I had spoken to one of my friends who was a homeschooler. And I said, do you think anybody would be interested in math videos? She was like, girl. She's like, let me tell you about the homeschool community.
Wow.
And I just remember thinking, okay, well, I'm just going to make a video or two and see how it does. And I put it on YouTube and people just started watching. And I was like, wow.
I have to ask, what were the first ones?
The first video, the student was learning. She was in algebra. And she was learning how to plot points on the XY axis. Okay. And I just remember I was making up a mnemonic device. I make up these Nicoleisms, right? Yeah. So I that's what the first two, it was a Thursday. And by Saturday I had made my first two videos. I had found a big whiteboard. I had found a camera. I didn't even know how to edit. I just, when you finally are in your purpose, you move with velocity.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? So I just said, okay, I don't really know how this is supposed to end out. I don't know if anybody's ever going to want this. I don't know. But I just know I'm supposed to make videos.
Okay.
And that's how it started.
And you've done thousands at this point.
I have over 4,000 math videos.
Over 4,000 math videos. That's insane. That's insane. That is crazy. So
That is
how long
crazy.
did it
Yeah.
take for it to pick up and start getting around and people hearing about you, and like what was that breaking point?
So I'm gonna tell you something funny too. So I had started in 2016,
Hmm.
right? It was September or it was August. And so this is a story for anybody who like is thinking about starting something and like that you get stopped. I remember the first 100 videos I had to throw out.
Yeah. the
100.
the failure comes first, right?
Yeah. And you can either get stopped at that moment or you can keep going. And I remember at that moment, I was like, am I gonna do this or am I gonna do
Right.
this? And I was like, move out the way. I am doing this. So here's what happened. I didn't have like an affiliate program or anything like that. Like mom started to share it with each other. Like just like one person bought and another person bought. And then mom started to share it. But I was still like so in the business of making the videos. I wasn't doing any marketing, right? This one mom who was part of CC, part of Classical Conversation, she's sent me a message and she was like, I really like your videos. Do you have like an affiliate program? And I was like, what's an affiliate program? I
What
don't
is
know what that
that?
is.
Yeah.
So when I researched it, I was like, sure, I can get one of those. So I think, again, I move quick when I feel like I've been spoken to. I just had one by the weekend.
That's
And then I
amazing.
called her and I said, I have an affiliate program. Well, she put this one post. It was at night because she was in California. And she did this one post at 11 o'clock at night, her time. Because, that's when we moms get off Facebook,
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
And she just shared, hey, I've been using these math videos. If you use Saxon Math, Nicole the Math Lady, check her out. And I had this thing on my phone where every time somebody ordered something, because it was kind of infrequent at that point. And because at this point I had a website. I wasn't on YouTube anymore. My phone would make a little ding, but it would sound like a cash register. So it would go ka-ching. And it was 2 a.m. on the East Coast.
Right.
And all of a sudden, Suzanne, my phone started blowing up. It was like ka-ching, 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 ka-ching. And I was like,
What's
what's
happening?
happening? And then I got up and I saw that she had put this post and people were just visiting the website.
That's phenomenal.
And then my website crashed.
Oh, no.
At 3 in the morning, it crashed. There were so many people. So at this point, I called GoDaddy. I was like, hi, help. People are visiting my site. Please fix it. So that's when it started. That's when it took off. I was so thankful for her. I just always kept calling her saying, thank you so much for just calling me to like say, hey, what you're doing is good. Like, let us help you.
Yeah. And some of those, like those are just such God ordained moments. It's little things sometimes that you don't think about or that somebody else just passes by and says, like, throws the bone. Here it is. And it'll make a huge difference, huge impact, And I think
Absolutely.
too, I would say for people who are listening today, if you're one of those people that, you're thinking, oh, I should say something to somebody or do something, don't hesitate because it can be life-changing, for people. So that's a great story though. I mean, just how it just took off. And then it just kept going. Your affiliate program obviously worked for you, right?
And it did. Like, as I said, I didn't really do any marketing because again, I didn't really know how to do this.
Right.
I just said, follow your passion, make math videos, and hopefully the rest. I do remember, as I said, I had lots of conversations with God, right? And I said, listen, you provide the how, I'll provide the do. Like if you provide the resources, I will take whatever resources you give me and I will do the work.
Yeah.
I will be like the foot soldier, because I also remembered like when I made videos, I was also clear I wanted my videos to not be about me, like a personality.
Right.
I wanted my videos to be a reflection of like God's love in the world. Do you know what I mean? I just wanted kids to feel like it wasn't about the math for me. It was about like feeling confident and feeling like you could do something and feeling like how I did when I was that middle school student who was like, oh, I get this.
Right.
I wanted kids to have that. So I just was like, whatever resources you put in my path, I will do the work. I will get up. I will stay late. I will figure out how to make a website. I will figure out how to edit videos. And, so the mamas took care of me. Like when he
That's
sent the
great.
resources, the mamas just told their friends. They were like, "Have you heard about Nicole? Have you heard?" So for years we didn't do any marketing because mamas just kept coming.
That's great.
you
But
know.
that's great.
I also made it cheap on
Yeah.
purpose. Like, our program is very, very inexpensive because I just felt this is education.
Mm.
Education should be free. Like everybody should have the right to be
Right,
educated.
right.
So luckily my financial advisor was like, "You can't afford to do free." He was like, "You can afford to do cheap though." And I was like, "Okay, we'll make it cheap because I don't want anybody to ever say like I can't afford that."
Right, right.
Like education, it's like that's what we're here for, to educate our kids.
Yeah. That's great. I think that there is that fine line when you're providing services and helping people that, if you don't price it somewhere, then people will look at it sometimes and think, "Oh, it's not worth anything."
That is true.
And if you
Yeah.
price it right, then it's like everybody can actually have access and work with it. And it doesn't make it something that other people can't, have. And with homeschooling families, and you probably run into a lot of this, it works because so many have one income families or people are working from home, which, they're just trying to make ends meet. And, when you're a homeschool mom and your kid is struggling and you need resources, you need something that you can depend on, something that works, something that, is affordable. It's a blessing. Like when you find that, and it is. So I'm sure that there's been many moments for families for like I said, for me who was not good at doing math with my kids, that would be a blessing to me, to have that and have access. And so I'm sure that that's been the story. And then you came along. So when was your first homeschool convention?
FPEA. It was.
That's great.
And it was weirdly, it was before COVID.
Right.
So it was like, right when, so that's, I think, right before the one, right before
2019.
COVID shut everything down. Yeah.
2019.
And I just said, well, I don't really know. I'm just going to go and put up my little booth and talk to people.
See what happens.
But I'll tell you what happened at that convention. So at that time, I only planned on doing middle school math because I thought that was my sweet spot. Like I love middle school math. That's where I discovered math. And I ran into these two mamas. I wish I knew their name, but they were from here in Florida. Yeah. And they came up to me and they were using the product and they were like, "You need to do it for younger kids." And I was like, "Really? I don't really think younger kids would get me, And they were like, "No, we don't want to start someplace else and then move to you later. Let us start with you."
Okay.
So because of these two mamas that I met at FPEA, I started going, my first book was 7-6. So I went, which was 6th grade. So I went down and I did 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade just because of those two mamas.
And how did that go? Did you get a lot of?
Our largest sellers are 4th and 5th grade.
That's great. That is so
I think
funny.
it actually worked out, which is funny because I just always thought, no, I don't think I'm a teacher for young kids. I don't think young kids would want to listen to me. And then of course I ended up going older as well. I went all the way to 12th grade. I'm like, oh, I don't think I'm a teacher for older kids. And, I guess, again, you just talk to kids like, respect kids and talk to them like they are human beings. And, they listen.
Yeah, they do. Just little people,
little
people.
Little people.
But, I think, so that's great. So you've been at FPA then since 2019. And then, our COVID year was a very interesting year. How did that impact your business and everything at that point? Was it crazy?
So in 2020, right, that when we opened up, it was kind of at that pinnacle where Nicole the Math Lady was picking up on her own. But we also had designed, I connected with who's my current CTO. I'd connected with somebody who was very technical. And so we started to make improvements on the website. So there was those two things. And then COVID hit. So then all these schools were looking for math videos. So all of a sudden schools started coming to us. So where many people had a hard time during COVID is when we grew.
Yeah.
We online, it's like a weird thing, right? Like some people were like sitting at home doing nothing during COVID. That was not what life was like for us here. I sat in this room. This is the office. There's a bed over there because that's what we used to do is just wake up, go to work all day, talk to customers. So we exploded during COVID,
Yeah.
and we were just trying to serve families, serve schools, make it easier for teachers who were trying to teach from home for the first time, and
Right.
we kind of knew how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a weird thing to be like happy that that we did well during COVID.
Well, yeah. I mean, no, well, it's good because you also look at the 3 years previous, like prior to
Yeah,
that, where you were like working toward, you were working just to be ready for that. Like you didn't know
yeah,
that. None of us knew that, but
right,
timing was perfect on,
yeah,
you came into your own there, you knew what you were doing, and your business was
yeah.
set to pick up and do what you needed to do. And that's amazing. I
It's
think that it's one of those, points where we sometimes have a really hard time looking back and seeing the highlights and the good things that came out of 2020 and that COVID year. But there were
Yeah.
things that came out that were good.
Well, it was funny because 2020 was my 50th birthday,
Okay.
right? And my birthday was June 30th. And for us, we call the start of our season July
Mm-hmm.
1st, right? So because it was COVID and I didn't have some big birthday bash, I just decided to have a Zoom call. And I just put it out on Facebook like that morning. I was like, hey, everyone, for my 50th birthday, I'm having a Zoom call. Here's the link. If you want to wish me a happy birthday, I'll be on from this time to this time.
Okay.
And can I tell you, one of the best birthdays I've ever had,
Really?
right? Like people from all over the world, really,
Oh,
like friends from
wow.
college, from high school, from my family, from the Caribbean, just calling in. But the next day, July 1st, was when we like flipped the switch on our new site,
Okay.
on the new season. And I remember just sitting there like around 6 o'clock in the morning, like preparing myself, like, is life about to
Oh,
change?
wow. Yeah.
Like it was a moment that I ever remember, and I said, "Well, just be present. Like, just sit here and, like, take it in,
Mm.
because I think, like, life is about to change," and it was like that was we were off and running
And
at
it
that
did. It
point.
was a good year.
Yeah.
Good year.
But you're so right, though. It's like those first 3 years when we were just climbing, climbing, climbing the mountain, as I call it, I didn't know where the top of the mountain
Yeah.
was. I thought I was still at the bottom.
Yeah.
So
But
I say that to people who are trying to do their own thing or trying to start something, and it's just like sometimes you just have to have, that blind faith that you're in your purpose, you're doing your talents, you're just keep moving.
yeah, and I think that, with every story, I mean, obviously Not by the Book is the name of this podcast. And it's funny because I think almost everybody has a not by the book. Like you get off,
Mhm.
you have your one trajectory, you think this is what I'm going to do. And then all of a sudden you're going off on these little trails and you never expected that just your little hobby over here was going to become your big thing. And you
Yeah.
never know the people that you're going to meet and the way that it will change your life and the things that'll, doors that'll open. And I think that that's what's so amazing is, if nothing else, by hearing people's stories, I love to be able to say to our listeners, you know, if you have something in your head that's like in that wild imagination area that you're like, oh, one day I might do that, go for it. Like, do those things. And also, by the same token, sometimes be willing to do what might scare you a little bit because you don't know, what doors are going to open down that path. But it's good. One of my friends, Todd Wilson, I always loved listening to his talk that he's done at our convention. Choose the hard things. And he always
Mm.
says the good things are the hard things and the hard things are the good things, right? And so
Yeah.
I believe that that's such a true statement about life in every area. Like the things that you have to work at, those are the
Mm.
good things. And
It's funny, now I feel thankful
yeah,
for what I call, like, the valleys of my life,
right.
like, the things that were hard, like, the times that were hard, I am clear, made me
Exactly.
who I am.
Yeah.
And while they were hard, I wouldn't go back and change a thing. I really
Yeah.
wouldn't, because I'm clear I would not truly not be standing in the shoes that I am in today without all of those, like my daughter, I think I told you she had health condition. My daughter at 18
Mm.
months, right, was diagnosed with type 1
Oh
diabetes.
wow.
We don't have type 1 diabetes in our family. Like we were like,
What?
"What?" And I remember the moment the doctor said it and I was like, "What?
Mm.
What do you mean?" I remember that moment. I remember the moment my son was diagnosed, like,
Yeah.
"What?" like these moments in life, but like I know like the figuring out how to take care of my daughter, and like getting up at 4 a.m, like all of that grit that
Mm-hmm.
you develop
Yeah.
is what laid the groundwork for Nicole the Math Lady,
Oh yeah, because then you're like, if I could do that, then I can definitely do this, right? It's like that's
Ah,
easy.
yeah,
So, but it's
yeah,
true, and I so appreciate those stories because, like I said, I think that our stories can encourage other people
yeah,
and remind them, that there's definitely a way that we land in the right place and doing the things that we love and doing the things that we're going to do. And usually the only thing that stands between us and doing what we love and what we're passionate about is the fear of stepping over that line and being like, yeah, I'm going to try it,
yeah. Right.
So,
I say the antidote to fear is just get in action.
yes.
Just get in action. Just take an action.
Yeah.
I'm afraid. Okay, what action are you going to
There
take?
you go. Keep
Because
moving.
the fear, it's not going
No,
anywhere. I wish I could tell you that it stops.
it doesn't. It
It
absolutely does
doesn't.
not. So what exciting projects are you working on right now? You got anything new and
But yeah,
interesting that you're chiseling
so
away?
it's funny. Yeah, so I told my staff. So I finished making Nicole the Math. I finished making Saxon math videos in 2002.
Okay.
2002. It was a good 5 years of being
Right,
trudging,
right.
right? I was really tired at the end of making those videos. So I took some time off, and I remember telling my staff, do not let me. I'm going to come back to you and tell you that I want to make more math videos, but don't let me. I'm going to sound like a crazy person, but don't let me. And everybody was like, okay, 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 okay. And then I met some mamas at a convention.
Uh,
And these mamas they use the Singapore Math Dimensions
oh
curriculum.
yeah.
And they were like, are you thinking about making any more math
Oh
videos? And
no.
I was like, well, tell me about your curriculum. I want to know a lot about it. You know, I'm a crack addict for curriculum, for math curriculum. And so right now, I am filming videos for Singapore Math Dimensions, and it'll be out this
Oh,
summer.
great. I'm
And
sure that's really
you
good news for somebody. like, and
well,
your
it's
staff was
funny.
like, what?
Yeah. My staff was like,
Yeah.
really? Really? You told us. But you know what's so funny though? This is how, again, you do know you're in your
Mm,
purpose because we're leveling up, right? We have nice studios now,
yeah.
we have a pretty studio and nice microphones. Before it was me in this office with my
Whiteboard.
whiteboard right there. That is still right there, by the way. So, but we're all re-energized because we're doing stuff we truly love and
Mm,
feel like we are truly talented at and feel like we could really actually serve. I know that there's mamas who are
right.
waiting, for some help. And the fact that I could provide help by doing something that brings me joy. I love standing on a video talking about math. It's such a silly
Yeah.
thing.
Oh no. But it is. I mean, I'm telling you, some of the things other people would look at the things that we do and be like, what in the world? That would make me lose my hair. But it's
Yeah.
like, but no, it's fun, And I always say about my job, when it's not fun anymore, I'll be on to the next thing. Honestly, I
Yeah.
enjoy what I do. I love, what I do. And when I don't, I'll do what I
Yeah.
love in the next moment,
No.
right?
I don't cook, Suzanne. People who know me know I do not
Yeah.
cook. I don't enjoy it. I'm not good at it.
You don't know
My
that
husband will
Caribbean
cook.
food?
I mean, thank goodness my mom loves to
That's good.
cook. I do not cook. So I do what I do, and then I go to my mom to get my food.
See, all that provision is right there. That's
Right?
great. That's great. So, well, I
Yeah.
love to ask the question of everybody that I meet and get to talk to. Was there something like a quote in your life or a verse or something mama said or whatever that just kind of kept you going and made you feel like, yes, this is the thing that I'm going to hold on to in my head when I hit the hard moments?
Yeah. Well, so I was so happy. You kind of sent me a little teaser that you were going to ask me
Yeah.
that question because I actually went and printed it out.
Okay.
I used to have it literally right next to my desk.
Hmm.
And it's a quote that's often attributed to Nelson Mandela incorrectly,
Okay.
but a woman named Marianne Wilson was the one who spoke it.
Right.
It's a little long, but if you'll, indulge me, I'm going to
Absolutely.
read it because this still moves me. And it's funny because we talked about fear,
Yeah.
right? So it starts off, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens
Mm.
us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
I love that. I
And
love
it's
that.
fun that now that I printed it out, it's going back next
It
to my
has to
desk.
go. It has to go back. Yeah, I'm going to need to write that one down somewhere because that's an amazing
Yeah.
quote. And I believe there's a lot of truth in what you shared. And what an amazing encouragement. Yeah, stick that up by your desk. It's
Yeah.
a good reminder. Good reminder.
It's going up.
Well, listen, I want to thank you so much for being with us again today. It's been a pleasure to talk and to learn a little bit more about you and Nicole the Math Lady and how she came to be. And I'm going to encourage everybody that might be listening to connect with you on all of your social media and website. And then also, if they're at the convention, PA convention in May, you'll be there speaking and they can talk to you and maybe encourage you to record some other crazy videos. Thanks for listening to the Not by the Book podcast from the Florida Parent Educators Association. To learn more about homeschooling in Florida or to find resources to help you on this amazing journey, visit our website at FPEA.com. If you have any suggestions for future guests, contact me, Suzanne, at notbythebook@fpea.com. Thanks again for listening, and be inspired to live your life not by the book.